Quentin Gray is suing Mandy Phillips in the amount of $560 after his car was towed for reasons he claims are her fault.
Mr. Gray, why are you in court today?
Your Honor, I'm here because this woman held me against my will in her apartment, which caused me to pay a $560 towing fee, and I want her to pay it.
Well, you didn't have to be towed out of your apartment, did you?
It was her. I was at her apartment, and actually we were at a party, and I met her. She said she'd give me a ride back in the morning, and
she didn't.
She didn't.
All right, let me find out from Ms. Phillips.
Hi.
Hi, Ms. Phillips. And what did the plaintiff say that was not true?
Your Honor, first of all, I don't know this man one red cent. We met at a swingers party. Everything was great, and it was a little involved with erotica and S&M and, you know, whips and chains kind of thing.
Lots of things that plaintiff just left out of his original opening statement. Now I'm hearing swingers party.
Yes.
Whips, chains. Okay.
Yes.
Fine. I'm not judgmental. I just want to know the history of this.
Thank you.
Now I'm getting the history. All right, you met at the swingers party. What happened after that?
I was digging him. He was digging me. We had a great conversation, and things led to another thing, and we started making out. Everything's going great. And he said, well, why don't you, come back to my place? And I was a few blocks down, and I said, you can take a ride in my car. I was offering him a ride, and he said, well, what about my car? I said, I'll give you a ride in the morning. That's fine. Everything's easy.
A ride in the morning to pick up his car.
Exactly.
So he said fine. He was good with that.
Fine. And we
got in your car, back to your apartment. What happened there?
Well, at my apartment, he found in my room, on the back of my door, had a whip, and I found out he was into a little bit more of an S&M than I am usually into. So
S&M meaning sadomasochism.
Yes, and he
was into it a little bit more than you were into it.
Kind of.
Okay, but you were into that whip, right? What was that whip doing on the back of your door?
Well, I like whips. So
are you like? I'm not judging. I could use a whip up here sometime, but probably not using it the same way that you use it. All right. So you're into whips.
I'm into whips, but he was into more of a tie me to the bedpost kind of thing. And never really done that before, but he loved every second of it, Your Honor. I did the hot wax,
wait a minute.
Did the whips, did the blindfold, did the gag. I've never done the gag.
Wait a minute, you say did the. I mean, who was doing what to whom?
Well,
I was the victim.
Well,
you were the victim.
A little bit of ensemble effort.
Okay, you were an ensemble of victims.
Yeah, well, we were kind of, spanking each other.
Spanking each other, okay.
Yeah, he wanted me to blindfold him when I tied him to the bedpost.
All right. Let me hear the part that's relevant to this case.
Your Honor.
And coming up.
Did he consent to being tied to the bedpost?
Oh, he consented. Yeah, he was very willing to be tied to the
Willing. In fact, that sounds as though he was actually even asking to be tied.
Yes, he asked to be tied to the bedpost.
We're back with the case of Quentin Gray, who is suing Mandy Phillips for automobile towing and storage fees.
What has this got to do with the fact that his car was ultimately towed?
Okay. Well, when I tied him to the bedpost, after we had done a few little spanky things, he fell asleep. He was so drunk.
Okay, you tied him to the bedpost.
Yeah.
Now, did he consent to being tied to the bedpost?
Oh, he consented. Yeah, he was very willing to be tied to.
Willing. In fact, that sounds as though he was actually even asking to be tied.
Yes, he asked to be tied to the bedpost. Yes.
All right, so you tied him to the bedpost.
Yes, I did.
And then what happened? You finally fell asleep?
Well, he passed out. He was drooling on my pillowcase and all open, and I did not want to even sleep in the same bed with him.
Oh, so you didn't sleep in the same bed?
Not at all.
So you just left him asleep, tied to the bedpost?
Yeah.
Is this a 4-poster or a 2-poster?
It's a 4-poster.
So 4, his hands, and his feet, he's tied there.
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
All right, so what happened?
I fell asleep on the couch in my living room.
Okay, and then?
The next morning, I had to go to work, and I tried to wake him up, and he was still passed out, and I couldn't wake him up. I beat him. I whipped him again. I beat him with a pillowcase. I slapped him in the face, and this guy would not wake up.
That is one sound sleeper. Okay, now, Mr. Gray, did you ask her to wake you up?
No.
You didn't ask her to wake you up at a certain time, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. Were you allowed to have your car at the parking space until a certain time? Is that a problem?
Yeah, well, the problem was the cutoff was about 20 minutes. So.
All right, so you're saying you were delayed 20 minutes. Had you been there earlier, you would have been able to get your car wouldn't have been towed.
Correct.
Okay, court is ready to rule.
Judge Allred's verdict when We the People returns. Promotional consideration Allred.
You, sir, are the one and the only one who is responsible for the fact that your car was towed away. You should have figured out how to wake up on time. And you should have either had a wake-up call from somebody else or brought your own alarm, something. But don't put that on the defendant. I find judgment for the defendant.
Judge Allred has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
I want my $560 still, and I also want that call back from Mandy.
The guy's an absolute freak, and no, he will not get a call.